So it's 4 o'clock, so I guess we can start. More participants than ever. So welcome those of you who have just joined us for this webinar. As promised, I'm now going to give you a few more details about how the exam is going to go. And this will be pretty much the same for the Math 2 exam. So I'm usually referring to the Math 2 exam because that will be the first one. But the retake for Math 1 will most probably be the same. And before you ask, as far as I know, there's not yet a date set for the Math 1 retake. It will take place in the break between the regular exam periods for the summer exams and the retakes for those. So some date between mid-August and end of September seems reasonable. I'll let you know once I have a definite date for that. Okay, so let me quickly switch on screen sharing again so you can have a look at my slides. First thing I'd like to note is everything I'm saying right now is still subject to change. Hopefully not the major points, but some of the minor points might still be modified. Especially date and time might still be modified. I'm guessing the date of the first exam for this summer term lecture Mathematics 2, that should be pretty much fixed. For the retake, I cannot promise the date yet. There might still be changes depending on how the scheduling for the retakes from the winter term works. Okay, so please monitor TUMonline, and of course, if I will be notified of any changes, I'll also let you know using the Moodle page of the respective courses. So here's the dates so far as I know them. The end term for Mathematics 2 will most probably take place on Thursday, August the 13th at 11. And it's a 90-minute exam, so that's 11 to 12:30. The retake is currently scheduled for Tuesday, September 29th at 1:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, I cannot guarantee this will stay that way. As I said, the Math 1 retake will probably be somewhere in between those two dates. And I'll let you know once I have a definite date here. We'll do both of these exams in the form of one-time remote exercises, and I will explain what that means in just a second. So basically, you have a working time of 90 minutes that will not change. You will do the exam at home in the convenience of your own working place. And that also means you will have to have an opportunity to print or scan, print and scan, upload, or do all of the exam electronically, like on a tablet PC or an iPad or something like that. I'll give you some more details in just a minute. But of course, we'll add some time on top of those 90 minutes for the extra steps necessary. We'll probably go for something like 10 or 15 minutes. We'll have to do some experiments to work out how much time you will need for that one, but I'm leaning more towards 15 minutes actually. Okay, so that will be extra time for those steps needed to print, to scan, to upload the exam. It's still important to actually use this extra time for what it's meant. So you should actually stop doing work on the exam after 90 minutes of working time. Because if you submit late, then your submission will not be counted. So there is no grace period for the upload. Once the upload closes, it will not be possible to upload any solutions anymore. During the remote exam, during the remote exercise, sorry, we'll be available for any problems that might occur. We have not fixed the channels yet, but I'm guessing we'll be reachable on chat and by email, and probably also be a phone number where you can call us if any serious problems should occur that you cannot discuss in chat. As the exam is done in the privacy of your own home, it will be an open book exam. So there will be no video surveillance of any kind. That means we'll not use Proctorio or something like that. We'll not use Zoom to do video surveillance. And that means we can't control effectively what means you're actually using. So we're going to make this an open book exam to be fair. So that means what you are allowed to use is all kinds of books, notes, lecture notes, sheets, suggested solutions, and also a pocket calculator. What you're not allowed to use is any form of communication or group work. And I still recommend you prepare a cheat sheet in the form of 1 page, probably the A4 is the most convenient here, where you write down the most important points. That will help you prepare for the exam, and it will give you a sheet that you know, hopefully know by heart, or almost by heart, where you will have an easy time of finding the formulas that you actually need. You will not have a lot of time to consult your books, your notes, your sheets if you don't know where to find things. Okay, so that's still my recommendation. There are strict rules against cheating in place. So if we discover any kind of cheating, that will lead to an immediate fail. And especially there are 2 kinds of cheating that we will have a look for. We will compare your handwriting. So there will be some kind of a preparatory exam that you must participate in. I'll explain that in a minute. Well, you also submit some proof of handwriting, and we will compare your handwriting in the exam with this one. So if there are notable differences in handwriting, then this will lead to an immediate fail. And also we will incorporate random elements in the exam. So not everybody will get the same exam questions. We'll vary these a little, not to an extent where the difficulty will increase or decrease, but at least to an extent where it's easy to spot that you solved the wrong problem. So if you submit the solution to a problem that was not on your personal exam, then this will also lead to an immediate fail. And of course, we'll design the problems in a way that makes it easy to spot that. Okay, I already said there'll be a preparatory exam. So about a week before the actual exam date, we will open a code of conduct exam. You will download a code of conduct that specifically states the rules for the exam. You'll have a few days to study that, to fill in your own handwriting some statements there. I'll explicitly explain on that code of conduct exam which statements those are. You'll sign that, and then you submit it before the deadline for the code of conduct exam. This code of conduct is both a test run to see if your equipment actually works the way you want it to work. And it's mandatory because we need that signed code of conduct that you can actually participate in the real exam. So if you don't submit that by the deadline, then you will not be able to take the exam. That does not apply to the test run that I'm going to talk about later. Yeah, but for this code of conduct exam, that will be mandatory. I will announce the actual date of that code of conduct exam using email to all registered participants of the exam after the registration is over. For this code of conduct, please use the same medium that you plan to use for the actual exam so that the comparison of your handwriting is actually meaningful. So if you want to write the exam using the print and scan method, then please do that for the code of conduct exam as well. If you want to use a tablet, an iPad or something like that, then please use that same medium for the code of conduct exam. For the remote exercise, how will that go? Sometime before the exam date, we will put a URL into TUMonline. So in the exam registrations, there is this information column. You know that already if you have participated in the Math 1 exam. We used an online exam inspection method, and the URL for the inspection was posted in that column. Yeah. So if you access your registration for the exam, once we will post that URL, you will be able to access it on TUMonline some days before the actual exam. So you should be able to verify that this works ahead of time. You can then use this URL to log into the TUMexam platform. And on that platform, once the examination actually starts, you will be able to download your exam as a PDF. And you can then either print that PDF or you can transfer it to a tablet or a tablet PC or anything you can write on. Then just fill in the solutions as usual. And after your working time of 90 minutes is up, you either transfer the result back to your PC as a PDF, or you use some kind of scanner to scan the result, the papers that you have filled in, and transfer that back to your PC, again as a PDF. I should note that. So we need PDF format for the upload. For the scanning process, you can either use a scanner if you have one available, or of course you can use a mobile phone or a tablet with a scanner app on that. Once you have that back on your PC or some other medium where you can access the TUMexam website, you just start the upload of the PDF and you wait until the upload is complete. It's that easy. What happens here is when you start the upload, your browser will generate a hash value of your PDF. So it will generate something like a fingerprint of the PDF that you submitted. And it will then upload that fingerprint to the TUMexam server. That's just a very short number that can be used to uniquely identify your PDF. So you have to basically transfer that hash value in time before the deadline for your upload to be counted. And after that, the TUMexam server will talk to your browser, give you a place in an upload queue so that not all uploads happen simultaneously and overload the server. But once you have that place secured, it's pretty much up to your browser and the TUMexam server. You don't have to worry about the deadline from that point on anymore, right? So just wait until the upload completes. In case there is any problem, in case after this hash value has been uploaded, your PC breaks down or something like that, you'll still be able to restart the upload as long as you do not modify the PDF. So we'll use that fingerprint value to verify that you actually uploaded the correct PDF. And there'll be some grace period after the deadline for those who have successfully transferred their fingerprint to actually upload the PDF. So don't worry about that. Okay, so that's how the remote exercise is going to work. To give you an idea of how that looks like, I have set up a demo that we'll run tomorrow. This is just meant as a test run, so you don't have to take part in that. It's just meant to give you an idea of how this will look like, of how this will work, and of course to test your equipment. It doesn't have any relevant contents, so there will be no example problems, so to say, on this exam. And all of the data will be deleted afterwards. Yeah, also the registration data, of course. This demo run will take place on Tuesday, tomorrow. It will start at 1 o'clock, and the examination time for that demo will be 30 minutes to make things a little shorter. Yeah, so it will end at 13:30. And then you'll have 15 minutes for the scanning and uploading. So the deadline for the upload is 13:45. After that, no more submissions will be accepted. If you want to take part in that demo run, then please register on TUMonline until tomorrow at 11. And you can either register for the real exam, so if you want to take part in the Math 2 exam on August 13th anyway, then just register for that one. I'll use that data for the test run, and after the test run is completed, I'll just delete the URL from the information column there. I'll leave your registration in place. Or if you don't plan to take part in that one, for example, if you just want to do the Math 1 retake, there is a test run exam also for this MA 9714 course, Math 2. You can register for that one. After the test run is complete, I will completely delete this test run exam, including all registrations. So especially I will not transfer any of those registrations to the real exam. Yeah. Of course, I'll be interested in your experiences during that demo run. So please post any questions, any feedback that you want to give, just post that to chat or to the Moodle page or write me an email. I'm very much interested in the process and how that works on your side. So that's basically how the exam is going to be conducted, hopefully. Again, this submission platform is also currently under development. We're hoping to implement a few new ideas into that until the actual exam time, which of course need to be thoroughly tested before we can apply those to the exam. So little things might still change, but basically this is how I'm planning to hold this remote exercise exam. Okay. As I said, you're invited to the test run, and I'm interested in your feedback after that. And I'll now be taking questions. So let's see what questions there are.
There is 2 questions so far. One of them is asking, what about the registration process for the retake exam? Will there be a new registration, or do we have to be registered back in February to take the retake exam now?
No, so for the retake exam, there will be a new registration. Yeah, so once the date is fixed, there'll be a new registration on TUMonline. And that means if you did not register for the original retake, that's fine. You can just register now. And if you did register for the original retake, you still have to re-register for this time, right? So regardless of your original registration back in February or March, once the retake exam registration is up on TUMonline, I'll let you know on the Moodle course page for Math 1. And at that time, please register on TUMonline. That's the registration that will count. And obviously, if I didn't mention that, you cannot take part in this exam if you did not register beforehand, right? You will not get a URL. You will have no way of submitting the exam if you don't register. So there's no possibility of just showing up. Other question?
There is one question about the printing part. Somebody is asking that if they have to print the question plus answer sheet, or if they can use their own answer sheet and then scan it. And I assume they just mean using a blank piece of paper.
So currently you have to actually print the paper that we provide. That's one of the things that we're still working on, but I can't promise that we'll get to a point where you can use other paper. Currently, it's necessary to use the paper that we provide as a download. So you have to actually print that or fill it in on a tablet or something like that. If that changes, I will of course let you know. Yeah, and if it changes, it will be optional.
And somebody's asking as a follow-up, I guess, that if they don't have a printer or a tablet, what can they do?
Yeah, that's a problem. So if you don't have a printer or a tablet, with the current procedure, I guess you'll have to find a way to lend the tablet for a day or so. There are commercial providers for that, but I do hope you'll be able to find a friend that can lend your tablet for a day. That's the main reason why we're working on that incorporation of private paper, so to speak. But I cannot promise that this will be done until the examination date. I hope so. And if that's the case, of course, I will inform you immediately. I hope we'll find a solution for that, but I can't promise that yet. Other questions?
Someone is asking if you could tell them the failure rate of mathematics 2 in the last years.
I have no idea what the failure of math. Isn't it on TUMonline?
I can tell the last year I took it. I think it was something like 28%, but I'm not sure if that includes the non-attendance count as well. It should be around 30%, 20%, regardless, I think.
Probably. I don't really know, actually. See if I can find that somewhere. But feel free to ask other questions in the meantime.
Okay. To what extent is the retake, content-wise, comparable to Math 1 exam? And I guess it's the Math 1 retake then. Yeah.
So for the Math 1 retake, of course, the contents will be the same. I'm not planning on, well, it will not be the same as on the original exam, of course. As you know, all the contents from the lecture and the exercise classes are relevant for the exam, and those contents did not change. So that will be the same. Of course, some questions that I was planning on asking might not be suitable anymore due to the open book character. So I might have to incorporate some changes to my already finished exam, unfortunately. But the contents will stay the same.
Another question, does the open book format somehow affect the contents of the exam?
No. Again, the contents are always everything that we discussed in the lecture and in the exercise classes for both Math 1 and Math 2. That doesn't change because we're now open book. So I don't expect you to find any obscure theorems that we didn't talk about.
Can we just use a phone to scan written solutions and transfer to the computer and then to the platform?
Yes.
I guess that's the expected
yeah.
way.
So if you don't have a real scanner available, of course, you can use a smartphone with the scanner app. Yes, that should work. Only important thing is that you actually get readable and sharp images. So you might remember from the last year exam, if you took part in that, we had QR codes on all pages, and those need to be readable in your scans, because those will be processed by this TUMexam platform to actually assign the right exam to the right person. So as long as those are readable, you can use any means of scanning that you want. And usually a smartphone works fine, provided you have good lighting.
Somebody is asking, for the test run tomorrow, it is enough to be registered for the exam at the 13th of August?
Yes, it's enough to be registered for the exam at the 13th of August or for the test run exam. Choose any one you want. Obviously, you can't register for both at the same time. So I just also put the information up for all of those who registered for the original exam. And maybe one more thing, I'll also post some students' instructions on the Moodle pages for both Math 1 and Math 2 sometime later today. So there's also a brief description of possible scanner apps for your phone that we have already tried and that you might want to use. Free apps will do fine, by the way.
There's the same content question about the open book that you already mentioned. If we are already registered for the exam in August, are we already also registered for the trial exam? Also, you answered that question, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll also register you on the TUMexam platform, and you're not registered for this trial exam on TUMonline, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'll register both of those, the trial exam and the original exam, for the TUMexam test run.
Somebody mentioned providing the students with the answer sheet beforehand, but you're already going to do that, right? Yeah.
Answer sheet beforehand?
Well, the template answer sheet, so the one that they're going to write on. So one person is writing, I highly recommend providing us the answer sheet beforehand so we can print it out and it will still be in the exam format.
Yeah, problem is we can't do that.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I've discussed this with the TUMexam team as well, but problem is we cannot do that currently. Again, we're working on that possibility, and I hope it will happen until the actual exam date. It will not happen, probably not happen for the test run tomorrow. At least they are not done yet. But I hope they will have this method in place until August, and then we will have a possibility to do that. Currently, it's just not possible. So I can't promise that. So it might be that you actually have to print out the answer sheet at the time of the exam.
There's someone asking, how can you prevent somebody standing next to us in the meeting telling us what to write down?
Well, it's not allowed, so you won't do that, obviously, right?
Yeah. Somebody asked about explaining the hashing again.
The hashing. So the idea basically is once you press the upload button, so you have a PDF that you want to upload to the TUMexam server. Once you press the upload button, your browser will first generate some kind of a fingerprint. Basically, that's a number consisting of, let's say, 50 digits or so. That's some kind of a fingerprint for your PDF. So what that means is that two different PDF documents will never create the same number. Then this number is being uploaded to the TUMexam server. That's a very small upload, so it's easy to process that. And once the server has received this number, you have kind of a proof that you wanted to submit a PDF in time. And we have a fingerprint of that PDF. So even if the actual upload of the PDF happens after the deadline for the upload, the server can then compute the fingerprint of the PDF that it actually received and compare that to the fingerprint that you have uploaded before. And if those two match, then we can know that you didn't modify the PDF in the meantime. Right? That's the idea here. We want to avoid overload of the server. And obviously, if you all want to submit a large PDF at the same time, then overload is bound to happen. And we don't want the server to break down at that point. That's why we first upload just this fingerprint to make it easier on the server. And after that has happened, the server and your browser will basically talk, and the server will tell your browser when it's time to really upload the PDF. You don't have to worry about that process. The only important thing is that you actually start this upload within the deadline. Give it a few seconds at least for the computation of this fingerprint and the upload of the fingerprint. Everything else should happen automatically. So the only thing you maybe want to know about this is in case you manage to upload the fingerprint, but then somehow your connection breaks down, you can just restart the upload. As long as you don't modify the PDF, it will still be accepted. But once you modify it, of course, it will be rejected. Okay, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, he says thanks. There is another question. Will the exam now be more difficult since we are not allowed to use a calculator, lecture notes, etc.?
Well, that's something that's pretty subjective, whether you find an exam difficult or not. I mean, obviously, there are questions that I just can't ask anymore, like write down this definition. Yeah, you could just look that up. That's not interesting anymore. So these really easy questions are now not possible anymore. I have to come up with something a little more challenging, at least. I will still try and make the exam in a way that you don't need a pocket calculator or anything like this. And I'll probably have to ask for justifications a little more than I did before. Yeah, so there might still be problems where I just want an end result. But there'll probably be more problems where I want a justification or a documentation of how you arrived at that result to prove that you actually know what you're doing and didn't just put this in some calculator. Yeah, so it shouldn't, in my opinion, it shouldn't get that much more difficult.
All right, so there is another question about if they are doing the exam on a tablet, can they just use the Apple Pencil or similar stuff?
Yes, so if you have a tablet or a tablet PC or something like that, like an iPad or a Surface or whatever there is with a pencil like the one I have here, then you can of course just download the PDF, put it on your iPad, on some writing app on the iPad or on the Surface or whatever, fill it in there, and then submit it export it as a PDF and submit that. So the only prerequisite is whatever app you're using needs to be able to import a PDF that you can then write on, and then the result needs to be exported as a PDF again. For example, the GoodNotes app that I'm using here for, no problem. That I'm using, the GoodNotes app that I'm using here for the central exercise session on the iPad, that works fine. I've tried that one already, and there's probably things like that for Windows-based platforms or Android-based platforms as well.
Yeah, sorry, my internet dropped out.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So that was the pencil related question, I think. Yeah. Okay, another question is, can they still have the former Mathematics 2 exams as a reference to see how the exam will look like, or will the style change because it's an open book exam? Or if...
Oh yeah, of course. So I can provide you with the 2 Math 2 exams that I already conducted. I cannot provide you with anything else, of course. I don't have anything else. Those were the exams from 2017, I think, summer 2017. I can upload those on the Moodle page. Yeah, but of course, as you already said, the actual exams might look a little different because we are now moving to an open book format. And those exams were closed book, very closed book, actually. You were not even allowed a cheat sheet at that time.
Someone asking, so where do we get the demo exam tomorrow? From TUMonline? Question mark.
Yes, so there will be an URL on TUMonline. It will be published on TUMonline, so just log in there, and you'll see a URL where you can then log in. You can log in using that URL and your student ID number. One point I should mention for the student ID number, please do not omit the leading zero. So use your student ID number with the leading zero to log in. Actually, if you have done the exam inspection in Math 1, we're using the same system here. So basically you've seen that one already. That's the same that we use for the feedback for the exam inspection. Just extended a little.
Okay.
By the way, I'm going to import the data from TUMonline tomorrow at 11. So until that time, you can register. Anything after that will not be imported anymore. So I'll probably have the URLs ready by 12 or so. I'll post a message to chat when they're ready, so you can look them up then.
There's another question. Could we get a test sample to do on the mandatory trial run so that we can also see what sort of questions we should be expecting?
So you mean for the code of conduct exam for that trial run?
I suppose.
Yeah, so I can put up the, yeah, actually don't need to do that, right? I mean, so this code of conduct exam, this will not just be an hour or so. I'll keep this up for a few days. So you will have some time to complete that, read on that, ask questions if you want to. So a trial run should not be necessary for that one, I guess. If you still have good reasons for wanting a trial run, just let me know. And I'll see what we can arrange here.
Another question, what if the PDF file will suffer a bit flip between hashing and real upload?
Sorry?
I guess just a type of error. I don't know what it means, but so what if the PDF will have an error between the hashing and the real upload? So basically,
well, if the
doesn't reach
PDF
the
really has
server.
an error between the fingerprint and the real upload, then it's a modified PDF. So it will be cheating. It will not count. But I mean, there are error correction methods that are employed with internet connection, so that actually should not happen. If your browser and the server detect that an error happens, and they should be able to do that, then the server will just request a re-upload from your browser.
Okay. What if you have Wi-Fi problems the whole time of the exam?
Actually, you need a stable internet connection at basically at 2 points during this examination time. You need it at the beginning to download the actual exam so that you know the questions. And you need it towards the end when you're ready to upload your results. So if you know that your connection is a little unstable, then maybe you shouldn't stretch those 15 minutes for scanning and uploading too much so that you have some extra spare time at the end in case something goes wrong. Otherwise, I cannot really repair your internet connection here. So If you know that is unreliable, then maybe you want to seek out some other place where you can write the exam.
The person from the previous question is clarifying, saying they meant an error on the local file system, and then said most people use the Microsoft NTFS file system and it has no error correction nor ext4 on Linux.
An error on the local, but if an error on the local file system happens, then it would still mean that the fingerprinting and the upload should be the same. So the error, if there is a problem, then this error will happen between the fingerprinting and the actual upload. And usually the file would stay in memory for that. And again, you probably don't have error correcting RAM modules in your computer, but I guess it will not really be a problem. I don't really see a probable scenario where this will happen. Of course, what counts in the end is whatever you submit. So if your file system messes up and each one of your pages, then that's up to you.
Another question, do they have to upload the exam within the processing time or is there extra time to upload? And you did mention the extra time.
Yes, so you have 90 minutes for actual working time. And there will be some extra time, probably 15 minutes or so for the download, printing, scanning, uploading process, yeah? So we'll tell you the deadline of the uploading process exactly. And it will probably be working time plus 15 minutes. For example, for the test exam tomorrow, working time ends at 13:30 and the upload window ends at 13:45. So you have 15 minutes to complete your upload after the working time ended.
Another question, do we still get 2 questions from the quiz in Mathematics 2 for the exam?
2 questions from what?
Sure. Yeah, I didn't understand what this question is either. It says, do we still get 2 questions from the quiz in Maths 2 for the exam?
Yes, you do. So for those who didn't notice yet, there are e-tests, electronic quizzes on the Moodle page for the Mathematics 2 course. And to encourage you to have a look at those, I was promising to put 2 questions out of those tests on the exam. And of course, I stand by that promise. I do reserve the right to change the numbers somewhat, especially because some of these tests are also randomized. So I cannot really promise that you get the numbers that you have seen, even if I wouldn't change those anymore, yeah?
Can we get provided with some more justify examples, exercises to work on our knowledge and skills we need to pass the exam?
Well, I'd say the exercise sheets should be great examples. So basically the answers that I'm providing in suggested solutions should mostly be acceptable for an exam. Otherwise, if you're in doubt, there's always a tutorial session, by the way. So every Thursday from 2 to 5, we meet for tutorials. If you haven't joined us, then you're welcome to do so. You're welcome to ask any questions there. So if you're not sure about your solution, if your justification is right or sufficient, then you're welcome to come to the tutorials and ask one of the tutors about it. We'll be happy to take a look.
Another question is, can we suppose that Mathematics 1 retake will be after Maths 2 since the date is not announced? And that was mentioned in the beginning.
Yes, yeah. Yes. So that should be pretty sure, yes. So the Math 1 retake will take place after the Math 2 exam. I cannot promise how many days you have between those two, but it will not take place before. Most probably. Again, I don't have the dates and I don't make the dates, but that's what I was told before.
Somebody asked if they are allowed to use several devices, for example, tablet for writing and a computer to look at the tasks.
Of course, whatever you want. Yeah, whatever works best for you. That's what the test run is for. Just test your equipment, see what works best for you. The only important thing is that whatever you submit is created on the same devices or by the same means for the code of conduct exam and the actual real exam, so that we can make meaningful comparisons of your handwriting.
Now there's a paragraph here. Please bear in mind that the initial date of Mathematics 1 exam was changed, then retake exam was postponed as well, and people who are taking Mathematics 1 GOP retake exam are in extraordinary circumstances due to the pandemic, national lockdowns, and since they should have had the opportunity to take the retake a couple of months ago, so it would be highly appreciated if the Mathematics 1 retake is of a sensible level of difficulty given the situation and the new format.
Of course, the Math 1 retake will have a reasonable level of difficulty. It will be comparable to the level of difficulty of the original exam, of course, yeah, because I think that those who took the exam on the first try and those who wanted to take it on the retake should be treated in the same way. I'm aware that the situation is difficult. It's difficult for us as well. But I think the level of difficulty that we were going for is reasonable, and I'm going to keep that.
Could you please give any recommendations on how to make the make the most out of the preparation for this new open book format?
So what I would say as a recommendation is I wouldn't change too much from what I recommended before. You should, of course, go through all the exercise sheets. You should go through the lecture notes. Maybe if you don't understand the topic on the first attempt, rewatch the video, see if you can understand that. You should, of course, do that throughout the whole semester, week by week. And if there are any questions, then please do attend the tutorial sessions on Thursdays. We're here to answer any questions that you have. We're here to look at any attempts at solving problems that you have made and might want feedback on. Yeah, so drop by anytime you have a question. For the exam, as I said before, I also recommend preparing a cheat sheet. So try writing down the most important theorems, the most important definitions, the most important formulas on that cheat sheet so that you have them ready on one page of paper that you can look at. You should write that cheat sheet yourself. For me, I found it best to do this by handwriting, so writing it in my own hands when I was a student. But there's no more restrictions on that with this open book format, of course. The important thing is that you know your cheat sheet. You know where to look at which formula, so that you don't lose time searching for the right formula or flipping through books. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense to have a large stack of books available that you don't really know by heart, more or less. Maybe there's one book that you work with, then of course it may make sense to have that book at hand if there's something that you want to look up. But you need to have a rough idea of where things are in the book for that to make sense. So still, my cheat sheet recommendation stands, and that's probably the best preparation that you can do. And of course, you should check that your technology actually works. Yeah, so make sure your smartphone is ready and charged, your scanner app is ready, your internet connection should work. You should probably test that a few days ahead. Maybe you want to get a cable connection in case the Wi-Fi breaks down if you have that alternative. Yeah, but that's pretty much all I can say there.
Another question is about whether there would be multiple choice questions in the exam.
There might be multiple choice questions, but not many.
There are, oh, sorry.
Just a quick addition that I just thought of. There are also multiple choice questions on the electronic quizzes. So if I copy one of those, then obviously there will be a multiple choice question on the exam as well.
There are two questions back to back about the controlling of the students from cheating. So if there would be a microphone checking or just in general how they would be controlled, and they aren't, right?
There will be no kind of surveillance, neither video nor microphone, nothing like that.
Would there be another chance, another retake exam in the case of failing Mathematics 1 retake exam? since now 3 out of 4 is prolonged until the 3rd semester?
So I don't actually know how your department regulated that. Of course, the next opportunity to take the Math 1 exam would be after the winter semester. The Math 1 lecture will be held. I don't yet know if it will be held in a regular way or again on video. Personally, I suppose it will be a video lecture again, but there hasn't been an official decision. But of course, there will be exams after that. Whether you will have the opportunity of taking those is up to your department. So I can't give you a definite answer on that. My guess would be that yes, but I don't actually know the regulations of TUM Business School for that situation. So you'd have to ask your Office of Study Affairs or your study advisors about that.
There's an interesting question that if they could get an email which they can send the scanned exam to in case there were any problems with the other way.
Yes, so we will have an email hotline in place, and we'll probably also have a phone hotline where you can contact us in case of troubles. And if there is such a problem, then we will provide you with a means of sending that by email, yes. But of course, you'd have to arrange for that in time, right? Don't do that at the last minute. The contact data will be on the exam, and I'll also announce it beforehand when the real exam actually starts.
Is there a separate registration period for mathematics 2 retake exam? For example, if one is not able to take the first exam in August?
Yes, there's a separate registration period. I don't really know when that will start yet. As usual, when it starts, I'll make an announcement on the Moodle course page. So you should all get an email if you registered at the Moodle course. Any more questions?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Will there be more questions on the mathematics 1 retake?
More questions like what? More questions than on the original?
Well, more questions than usual, I suppose. Yeah, I think that's what it's.
So what is the usual number of questions? Enlighten me. I didn't know there was a norm. So in short, I can't say. There may be or there may not be. The number of questions doesn't really say something about the difficulty and the length of an exam, does it? So same as the original exam, it will be roughly comparable in difficulty. And of course, that's always something subjective. So you might find it more difficult or you might find it easier, depending on what you have learned or not. And it will also be comparable in terms of the time that you need to successfully complete it. The number of questions is not really a good measure for that.
Okay, the next question. About the fact that you said the mathematics 1 original exam and the retake should be treated in the same way, and then says, but obviously this is not the case because the retake exam is under harder conditions due to other exams, etc. I thought maths 1 was also with other exams.
Well, again, that's something subjective. I would say the conditions are easier, more relaxed. You're able to take this exam in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to travel. Plus, it's an open book exam. You're free to use any books, any notes, any scripts that you want. So one could also argue it's easier. But truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Again, I'm doing my best to make this comparable in difficulty. But of course, I cannot do a lot about the current situation here. We just have to live with that and try to make the best of it. Sorry, Efe.
Yeah, the previous question, the same person added, would there be, or I forgot to say at first, would there be more time pressure on the maths 1 retake exam? But that's
no.
also, yeah.
No, again, my goal is to make it about as difficult and about as time consuming as the original exam. And again, that is always something that is highly subjective. Your mileage may vary.
Could you please give recommendations for Math 1 retakers or any hints on how the retake exam will look like? I think you already said it would be similar.
Yeah, I think I already said pretty much
Yeah.
everything I can say about this. If you want to get an idea of how the retake exam will look like, have a look at the original exam. I think I also provided you with 2 old exams for the Math 1 course. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, so again, just take a look at those. I know those were closed book exams, so they might not be immediately comparable, but the open book exams will not be that different actually. The focus might be a little different, but otherwise I think it's a pretty good preparation to have a look at those exams.
Another question about just clarifying things. So asks if, so we download the exam on a computer, send it to an iPad, work on the problems there. Afterwards, we can send it back to the computer and upload it to the TUMonline from there.
Yes, correct. And depending on the software you have, you might also be able to do all of this on your iPad. I actually haven't tested that, but it should work as well, I guess.
Will the Mathematics 1 course on the next semester, in the winter semester, will be held by you or?
Probably yes. So that's yet to be decided by the respective departments involved here. But the idea is for me to do the Mathematics 1 course one more time, yes. So if that is a question, hopefully the exam next semester will be comparable to the exams that we hold this semester and that the one exam that we were able to hold in the last semester. So if you feel you'd rather take it in the next semester, maybe hoping that this will be a normal exam again, I don't know about that yet. It's all speculation, I guess, but of course you're free to do that.
All right, there is a question if they could edit the PDF instead of writing on the PDF in a tablet with PDF editors.
So if you make sure
typing.
that the actual edits end up in the PDF that that you submit, then you can do that. 2 important points. Oh, actually 1 important point here. The upload that you do will be processed as a graphics. So that means if you write something in the boxes, and those could be written on as forms most probably, if you choose a font or a font size such that the actual contents of what you write overflow these boxes, then it will not be visible on the PDF. I know it can still be copied out, but as I said, the upload will be treated as a graphics. So whatever is visible on the PDF that you upload will also be what will be corrected. Right? Anything that is not visible will get lost. And that same applies to comments. So you, in a PDF editor, you usually have the ability to add comments or notes to the PDFs. In the actual display, those will just show up as something like yellow boxes or yellow notepads or some other indication that there is actually a note. You will not see the actual note usually. And that means we will also not be able to process that. So don't use that ability. If you somehow write directly on the sheet and that writing is visible, then that should be fine. Just make sure that the content actually gets stored. That I experienced that this is not so easy. I had experienced multiple failures with that idea. And of course, writing mathematical formulas might not be easy if you're using a PDF editor that you can pretty much only use with a keyboard. If you know how to write LaTeX code, then you're welcome to submit that. But that's usually nothing I would expect of students, at least not of students not studying math.
Another question, do you in general grade on a curve?
No, there's no grading on a curve. That's actually something that is forbidden explicitly here in Germany.
How would you be able to check for handwriting if someone can type on out their answers on the PDF?
That's actually a good question. Maybe I should forbid that. We'll have to discuss that. Yeah, maybe we'll forbid that typing of answers in a PDF. It's probably a good idea to not rely on that opportunity. You might exclude that in the code of conduct.
Somebody is writing their question for the third time that you already answered about the justification examples and exercises. So
yeah, so
maybe they
I just refer to my other answers here.
Yeah, you can watch this afterwards after it's uploaded. So
yeah, I'll upload the recording of this session later today. So it's probably sometime tonight, and you can then rewatch me answering those questions.
Okay, he is clarifying more, I think.
Good.
He says, no, I mean if we can more examples like this. Oh, he's still typing. Okay.
So let's give him some. Any other questions in the meantime?
Somebody says, where can we find the slides for the exam information?
I haven't uploaded them yet. I will upload them to the Moodle pages of both the Math 2 and the Math 1 course.
Okay. So the person clarified, he says examples like they need to do in the exam. So I suppose he means just open book style questions, which, yeah.
Again, there's not going to be much of a difference. There might be questions I just can't ask anymore, questions that simply want you to state a definition or something like that. So, I mean, you see those questions, you know that you will have to exclude them. And most questions will probably require you to demonstrate the way of getting your answer. And there are questions like this, of course, on the exercise sheets. I usually demonstrate my my derivation of the answers there. And there are also questions like this on the previous exams. And even if there aren't in the solutions that I have uploaded, that I will also upload for the previous exams, as far as I still have those, I'll have to look at that. So if I have the solutions for these previous exams, I will usually also give a justification for the answers, even if the exam didn't require that. That's pretty much going to be the only difference. Other than that, I don't have any open book exams because I usually do closed book exams.
Another repeat question, will there be an extra time to upload the exam formats too? And you said there will be. Yeah.
I said there will be an extra time, probably 10 to 15 minutes on top of those 90 minutes working time for all the rest that you need to do, printing, scanning, uploading.
Another question, could you give us a backup email address in case TUM exam shut down so we can send it to the examiner directly?
TUM exam won't shut down. Period. But as I said, there will be some kind of contacting the examiners or maybe a small team if there are any problems arising during the exam.
That seems to be it so far.
Okay, great. So I'm curious to see how the test run tomorrow goes. And as I said, I'm interested in your feedback on that. I'll upload the slides and the recording of this video session sometime tonight. So you will have the ability to rewatch that. And I'll also upload a quick manual of the TUM exam team, giving you some more details and some screenshots of how this TUM exam interface is working. So you can have a look at that before you do the test run if you want. Okay, then thanks a lot to Afe for moderating the chat and tossing the questions. And I hope I'll see you all on Thursday in the tutorial session then. Goodbye.